Tonight, I wear a hat. James wears a hat. And Richard is behind a low wall. Tonight, I play tennis. Richard points at a minibus. And James shakes hands with two men. A dog looks over a wall. We drive some chairs. And the Stig does a skid in a supercharged Jag. Richard drives a new Lamborghini. James and I go on a caravan holiday. And a rock god is in our reasonably priced car. I point at some fields. Richard minces round a corner. And James describes his ideal night in.
Vomit and sputum and other bodily secretions.
Two swans move their heads about. I eat a shoe. And James says he's not fat.
I'm not fat.
I eat a cabbage. James throws a bird out of a car. And Richard eats a sandwich.
Hello. This is our assignment about the book Study in Scarlet.
Senna, what do you think of the book?
In general, I think that the book is very clear, but sometimes I didn't really understand the plot and the perspective of the reader. Sometimes you go to Watson and the other time to Sherlock Holmes, so that was a bit unclear. But what's your opinion about it?
I think the book is well written, but it can be more clear.
So Jaydon, what do you think about the book?
I don't like the book at all. It wasn't my type of story. How it is written is not my style. In genres, I only like adventure books and a bit of fantasy stuff, so I didn't like it very much.
Just like
Yes.
Lord of the Rings fantasy.
Yes, I
adventure.
do.
Well written, great book.
And a good movie.
Good actors.
Yes.
And Niels, what's your opinion about the book?
I agree with Jaydon. I also think it's not a really fun book. I think it's pretty boring.
Okay, then we move on to the characters. Niels, what do you think of the characters?
I think Sherlock Holmes is a really interesting person. He's pretty weird and also smart. He knows a lot about people and crime cases. He knows a lot about his roommate, what he did.
What's his roommate like?
His roommate was very obnoxious. He likes to observe the whole scenery, but still Sherlock Holmes is a genuine genius in literally everything. He could see on the mud on the face, a big disgrace, and the mud on the windows. How long the home was left behind. So
As with the words
Rache or rage
rage.
means
Something like that.
means revenge in German. This was one of the many red herrings. It could mean that the murderer was German, but clearly it wasn't. So that was one red herring. Could you guys
Speaking about the murderer, Jefferson Hope.
Jefferson Hope?
Yeah, the character who killed both people. What do you think about Jefferson Hope?
I think he has a clear reason to kill,
Yes.
but
He has a great story of how he ended up in London.
yeah,
I
the
think.
whole
He had a-
situation.
Yes.
He had a valid motivation because
Yes.
Yeah, it's not valid, but
Yeah.
But of course, it's
You-
not good that he killed him. Killed him.
No.
killing is not good. The Bible and the
Yes.
Quran say that.
That's
yeah.
Sometimes you get slippy hands and smack.
But
Yeah,
of
but
course,
killing is not-
that's not good.
No, that's not good. Which other characters are in the book?
You got
Trevor and
Trevor.
the ones that are killed.
Trevor is
and-
the American victim
Like
of the
Trevor.
first house.
Yes, and
And Scott,
Jefferson
yeah.
Hope killed both of them.
He
Yeah,
killed
with the pills.
Exactly.
Yes.
Pills. The poisonous pills.
Yeah, he made them choose.
Sherlock Holmes find out which one was poisonous. He gave one to a mental ill or a very ill dog. He gave one he
yes.
reacted very good with it,
Yeah,
and the other one
yeah,
killed him. So
yes.
he know when it's poison when he sees a pill.
So the dog died.
The
Yeah.
dog-
After the second.
After the
pill.
second
But he
pill,
was going to die
Yeah,
anyway.
I didn't like that
Right.
No,
part of the story.
it was really
Killing
sad.
It's pretty harsh for me.
Yeah.
I almost let a tear out, but
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I dropped a few. It was very
Yeah,
very hard to
I
accept
didn't-
that the
I
dog.
just didn't like that part of the story.
No, I don't
I-
think
I
you can
went-
do that. No.
I skipped the part,
Yes.
didn't like it.
No. And what do you think about the other detectives, Senna?
You've got two other detectives, Gregson and Leatherstrait.
Yeah,
They were kind of friends with Sherlock Holmes, but Sherlock Holmes didn't want to solve the clue because they thought that the other two detectives would get credit of the whole crime.
yeah,
so
but they did.
Yeah, finally.
They did get credit.
Yeah,
Yeah, but first he didn't want that.
Yeah.
He didn't want to give the story.
he didn't
to
go
the-
full potential because he wasn't knowing if he get the credits.
Yeah,
So
They
he
were
he
too
didn't tell
fast
us.
at the end to get the credits, and then Sherlock Holmes didn't get it. So
Yeah, and what do you think about him as a person?
Sherlock Holmes.
Yes,
So-
no, the other two detectives.
Other two.
Lestrade.
They were interesting people.
Bit
The
sketchy.
only the only point is they weren't obviously they got written because otherwise they won't be in the book. But they don't get foundations. Their backstories wasn't clear. It was only clear that they were detectives and trying to solve this murder mystery. It was a bit sad that they didn't get a lot of background information about them, or their strengths, or their relations with other people. So, in my opinion, they were not the protagonist, but also not a very bad one.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
Yes.
Let's move on to the red herrings. Can
We
you-
already
The-
found one.
yeah, you have said
Narache in German.
and
And
the ring,
the ring, that's
The ring.
another one.
and
the ring
the
was-
woman who
Suspicious
keeps,
old lady.
Yeah, the suspicious old lady who keeps
Tracking the house.
walking, yes,
Walking,
walking
yes.
down the story, through the story. She walks.
So, Niels, what do you think? What the murderer meant to be with the golden ring?
I didn't found. Yeah. I have no idea. I
Okay,
didn't.
skipped it on.
No, no.
I think
The
we-
golden ring. What was that about? It was.
I
Oh,
think this was
I
sort
know.
of hint.
Yes, it
Yeah,
was
that's
sort of
right.
hint because the women got engaged to
To another person.
yeah
to-
to the Mormons.
And
The
Jefferson Hope was
religion.
mad about that.
Yes.
Just
Yes.
stabbed him.
He
didn't
killed
stab
him.
So
he killed him.
maybe he took the ring of him, and then
No, it was the wedding ring.
yeah
I
from
think
the from the lady.
Yeah, from
What's her name?
Gerber and Lucy, something.
Yes.
I think. And then
Yeah, Lucy.
he got that ring, and then
Yeah, I think
he
he.
showed it to him or something.
Yeah, he showed it when he killed him, and then he
like, when-
accidentally left it on the
Yeah.
body. So it wasn't the
That was a very mean
yeah, but
action. Well, yeah, killing someone is mean.
yeah, and
but-
then you show it to
Yeah.
just like
Sure.
fuck you, man, and
Yeah.
then yeah, that's harsh.
to make it more.
Yeah, to make the
to give him more pain.
yes,
Yeah.
but he has
Throwing
he's
salt,
dead.
throwing salt on the wound.
Yes,
Yeah.
many salt,
And
many,
the poison.
many portion.
It was poison. Poison.
Oh yeah, with the
With the
pills.
pills.
Yes,
Yes.
yeah. The one was poisoned, the half, and the other one not.
But Jefferson Hope can also kill himself if the Gerber picked the wrong pill.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, that's a bit weird.
I think because
No, but he tested it out on a dog, so he
Yeah.
knew. Oh,
well,
but
it's
he has
after,
to.
because Sherlock Holmes tested it out.
Yes.
But Jefferson Hope, he had two
He-
pills. I think
yes, he
maybe
chose.
if his girlfriend died, he had also broken heart. So maybe,
So maybe he
thought,
killed himself.
fine,
Yeah.
yeah, if I die, it's not that bad or something.
Yeah, that can be true.
And what do you think about Sherlock Holmes killing the dog with the pills?
Let us be straight. The dog was already very ill.
Yes, that's true.
He was probably about to get killed. Not killed, but die in a
he
natural
would
way.
die.
Sleeping,
He would
just
Sleeping.
Yeah, or he just died in a couple of weeks. So, if a dog is really ill, he doesn't like living. If he can't walk anymore, you just sit down in a bag and you can't do anything. So, in my opinion, it was for a greater good that he just, because the dog just already went to heaven. If it was now or just a week later,
Yeah.
he had a
nothing to
purpose.
live for.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
he
now
could
it
have
was
another
useful.
purpose. He was
Yeah.
usable.
Yeah.
So, it was of course
So
really sad, but
it's
maybe you could
sad.
get a good life after that.
Yeah, but you
He's
would-
now with us in heaven, so
Yeah.
love you, man. So guys, what do we think about the children who helped Sherlock Holmes with finding Jefferson Hope?
I think it's really good that he offered them a chance to earn money and do something good.
Yes, they indirectly helped Sherlock Holmes with finding the
Information.
yeah,
Right.
Getting extra information.
yes.
Yes, and they also helped with finding the murderer.
He wasn't able to do it alone, so the kids helped him
Yes,
to get more information.
yes, they went for a cab, and the driver of the cab was Jefferson Hope, and that Sherlock Holmes knew that.
Yeah.
So he sent the kids to
get
help
the-
him.
get
Yes.
the rest.
so can we say that the kids were in a key position in
They
solving
were,
this
I think,
case?
yeah, I
In-
think
yeah.
so.
I think
They were pretty important.
yes.
Yeah.
Without the kids,
It
he
would be
couldn't
useless.
found
No,
He
couldn't
exactly.
have found Jefferson Hope. So
You couldn't do it on alone.
Yeah.
yes.
He never walked alone.
Yeah. Yes.
Sherlock Holmes was such a genius that sometimes his own genius creates his own gravity.
Like in an arrogant way.
But he wasn't
Yeah.
He was
He was
Arrogant.
bragging a
he
lot.
wasn't super
about-
smart because on some aspects of things he was super smart, but on the most of it he didn't know at all from it.
No, but when you specialize more in something, the dumber you are.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's really true.
If you specialize in football, you don't know anything about hockey,
physics.
but he was
physics.
he was good in what he did.
Yes,
What
he
did.
he was a real,
so, and that's important.
If
That's
you're good
important.
at what you do, then you're a good man.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And without his
His skills.
his works, his skills, the world would be a mess right now.
A lot of
Yes.
cases won't be solved, I
Yes,
think.
Jefferson Hope
And
would,
a lot of-
would still walk around and killing people like that.
Yes.
Yeah, we
so
we
it's-
don't want that.
So some people he
Yeah.
might
Yeah.
he's allowed to kill. I don't say names, but
no. I don't. I
a
don't.
German
agree.
man with a
That's not
moustache.
really, no.
We don't agree, but Senna. I think that's.
Senna's his thoughts.
Different
but-
opinion.
yeah,
I think
we
nobody deserves to
a
be
bit
killed.
had the story an open or a closing end.
a bit open, but maybe
I think
that's
it's open,
also
And
because
open,
it's
because
part
what
one.
happens next?
Yeah, everything comes to an
What?
end. You know all the
How
answers.
did everything go? How did everything
Yeah.
take place?
In part 2, everything is explained why Jefferson killed two people, the reasons.
Probably more. A
So
murderer
Yeah,
won't
maybe.
just kill 2 people.
Maybe on
in
his
his
way
whole
to London, he came. He never did it by himself. I think.
no,
How do you come from Salt Lake City to London by yourself? I think he must have made some decisions to kill other people to go there.
yes. So I
There was
think
a, there was
Yeah.
a
like
bigger
Do
picture.
you agree with me? Or?
Yeah,
I agree, strongly
Yeah.
agree.
There was
So-
also a brief or something from Dever that he knows that Jefferson Hoop was coming after him or something. I think that
Yes, he thought that because of
no, he had what do you call it?
A letter.
A letter from the United States, from the police there. So
yes he
That they confirmed that there's
Yeah.
something ongoing,
yeah,
something.
that Jefferson Hoop
yeah,
was
he
in
was-
in Europe, and maybe
So there's a bigger picture if also the United States is involved in this.
I think Trevor was afraid of Jefferson Hoop. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe.
I
he
think
knew it.
He knew that
yeah.
Jefferson
And then
wanted
they
to revenge.
came at the train station, and then it changed the whole situation. And then he killed. He killed him.
There's
Sadly but true.
Senna, would you like to read the next part 2 of Studying Scarlet?
Scarlet part 2 was.
Oh, you have read it.
I haven't read it. It was
No,
just
would
part
you
one.
like to read it?
Not really, but there's also some open ends that I want to be answered. So likewise what Jefferson does and his motivations to kill someone, because you don't do it just because you like it, just like you felt like it.
Yes, so
There has to be something others to be with it than what's described now. But I don't think that would be enough to read it for the
So you
second part.
think it's you want to know the open end?
If you're more a reader geek, I don't call name. Yeah, you could read it, but I don't really
Yeah, I agree.
spend my
with that.
time.
Yes,
Yeah, but
I-
I think part 2 makes very
Yes,
much clearer.
It makes everything clear about what the crime scene was and how everything took part of it.
So you want to know what happened after that and why he did it and all the other open ends, but you don't like the book that much.
I quite like the book.
You like it?
I didn't.
Oh,
Well,
Jaydon and I didn't.
I
So
was.
maybe we want to know what happened,
Medium.
but not. We don't want to read the book because it was not really fun.
Well, yeah, to be
I
honest,
think.
Sherlock Holmes kind of carried this whole book. If it was
Yeah.
from Abrams,
Yes.
we don't
That's
know.
true.
I don't know if it's a figurative person, but Sherlock
He has
Holmes.
quite of a name
Yeah.
Yeah.
in murder mysteries.
When we choose the book, like the whole class
Yes.
got to know, Sherlock Holmes is in it. Oh yeah, well yeah, we choose that because Sherlock Holmes is in it, so it must be a good one.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was our first thoughts about the book. So, well yeah, Sherlock Holmes really carried the book and make sure that it was a little bit fun to read.
Yes, he made it more fun.
Yeah.
Indeed.
And
Yeah, I still didn't like the book at all.
No, that's,
Yes, but
that's,
it's not my kind of stuff, man. It's
No, but wasn't it more fun than it would have been without him?
I really haven't. If Sherlock Holmes wasn't in it, then
Yeah.
I didn't think I have read it. Then
can we agree that
I would read it.
can we agree that the
So he made it better.
the person
He made it better, but not that.
Yeah, not good, but better.
It's not a written masterpiece.
No.
It's still an English
no.
book you have to
Yeah,
read, so
yeah. We have to read it. We don't want to read it. That's it. But Senna,
can we agree that the perspection of the book is
a bit weird.
a bit messy?
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
the first
Yes.
chapter was about Watson and the second part was about they got together and then they kind of get a friendship.
Yeah, it's was
So, I
a
don't-
different perspective of tellers of the story.
I couldn't see the difference between
Yeah.
who was talking and who got talked about, because
Right.
sometimes Watson was described and the other times Sherlock Holmes got described.
it changed like in
It
the,
changed a lot of times.
Yeah.
you have
Yeah,
to-
and it wasn't really clear about who it was.
I think there was one point that they could do better, but in my opinion that was the only thing.
I think it's a trick from the writer to get you more
Yes.
like, in the book.
So they confused us so much that they eventually got
You want
us
to read more and
Yeah.
more and
Yeah.
more and more.
I really got just
Yes.
demotivated because I was spending so much time and energy to just figure out who was talking.
Yeah, I didn't like that. That
No,
you.
it was not good.
I think it's more nice to read if it's more clear. But
And with a one-person perspective of
Yes, or
exactly.
yes,
One
yes.
person would be great.
just
Yeah.
sort of
Yeah.
whole, nah,
I think
not
one
one,
person-
but just different parts of the story. Just one chapter is Sherlock Holmes, and then you've got another chapter, and that's Jefferson Hope, and then
Yeah.
Drebber, and then Jefferson Hope, and then
Yes.
I think one is like too basic.
Yes.
It's not
true.
fun to read. Like
yeah,
if
you only have the thought of the
Yeah.
of the
if
of
you
the
touch
teller of the
middle-
story. And
yeah.
now, if you have more tellers of the story, you have an omniscient teller, so you know more about people in the story and how the story goes. So
Yes.
that's
And
better.
How
everyone
multiple-
thinks,
You know how multiple people think, and
what they
Yes.
want and why they do it. Why Jefferson Hope did
and
what
it's
he
easier
did.
for you to get a reference.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And did we find any other returns?
So we had the ring,
The
the
ring,
old
Rache.
lady,
The German words.
Rache.
German.
I think
Wasn't there also blood spilled on the ground?
or
No.
like from the
Not from the
yeah,
victim.
no,
Because
from,
he wasn't stabbed.
from Jefferson Hope, because he had
Yes.
like a problem with his heart.
Yes.
So like from the stress and his nose started bleeding or something.
Yeah, he
That's
started
okay.
bleeding, and then what happened next?
Yes,
Oh yeah, he drew or Rache with
Yeah, he
with
drew
blood.
Rache with his
With own blood. Own blood.
with his nose blood, but it wasn't the blood of the victim.
No,
that's-
own
So he
blood.
tricked people with his own
Yeah.
blood.
Yes, it couldn't be the blood of the victim because the victim got killed by poison,
Yeah.
by pill.
Otherwise, he got stab wounds somewhere. Just,
And he also didn't have stab wounds. Right.
No.
so there was another red herring.
Yes, but we didn't find any others. Just
I personally
Third
didn't find
four.
one.
the ring, Rache,
Blood.
Old woman.
the old woman, and blood.
Maybe just.
That's what we found.
Can we go to the next part?
Yes.
Yes. Speaking of Sherlock Holmes, he's a genius.
He's a genius.
A real genius.
Just like
Senna. No.
News
Oh,
Overs,
Senna.
yes.
Senna, oh,
Yes.
no, just like Mark Wim van Reinberg. He's just
Yes.
he's a
Just
real
like
genius.
our English
That's not normal how genius he is.
Sometimes his genius,
Almost frightened me.
it
Yeah.
frightens me. I just wake up 2 a.m. in the morning just because I'm scared of his genius. Okay.
This is the next part of our assignment, and this part is about the quotes that define people and why the quotes belong to them.
Senna.
So,
Can you start with a good quote?
My quotes are related to Watson and a bit of bragging of Sherlock Holmes. The first one.
Read it out loud.
I will do. I'm going to. Okay. You have a great gift for silence, Watson. It makes you quite invaluable as a companion. Here he is making a joke, something ironic about Watson, because he is his partner in detective crimes. So I think like a mentor-student relation, you say this about his student, which is a bit less of value than Sherlock Holmes himself. And Sherlock Holmes is one who brags a lot, so it's typical Sherlock Holmes that he says that. Education never ends, Watson. It is a series of lessons with the greatest for the last. Sherlock Holmes also said it about Watson because he is his mentor, some kind of form. And the last one is Sherlock Holmes bragging about himself. He does that a lot in the book. I am a brain, Watson. The rest of me is a mere appendix. An appendix means that it's useless, it has no valuable to your body. So he says he's only the brain and nothing else. So, who else want to go first with the quotes?
Now, I want to do a quote. This is a quote from Sherlock Holmes. "How are you?" he said cordially, gripping my hand with a strength for which I should hardly have given him credit. "You have been in Afghanistan, I perceive." "How on earth did you know that?" I asked in astonishment. I think that says a lot about Sherlock Holmes. He's really smart and he knows that Watson has served in Afghanistan. I also think it says a lot about Watson that he served in Afghanistan as a doctor. Now move on to
I know.
Arne.
I have a quote about Jefferson Hope and how he followed Driver and Tennyson. They were rich and I was poor, so that it was no easy matter for me to follow them. When I got to London, my pocket was about empty, and I found that I must turn my hand to something for my living. Driving and riding are as natural to me as walking, so I applied at the cab owner's office. I soon got the employment. I think due this quote, Jefferson has a rare job as cab driver, and like there was no clue for Sherlock Holmes to know he was a cab driver, but Jefferson Hope has to make his money to follow Driver and Stangerson to get his revenge on them. So I think that's the reason.
Yes.
Jaydon.
Should I read my quote?
Yeah.
Yes.
Here it goes. There's the scarlet thread of murder running through the colorless scheme of life, and our duty is to unravel it and isolate it, and expose every inch of it. And now for lunch, and then for Norman Neruda. Her attack and her bowing are splendid. This is a quote from Sherlock Holmes, and it defines why he is a detective and why he why he became a detective, his actions to become it.
Yes. I have another quote.
You have another quote.
Yes.
Okay.
Sherlock Holmes is pretty
Clever.
Small.
yes, but also he
Brags a lot about
yes,
everything.
yes.
Yes.
But he wants to live with Watson in one room, and before they live together, they want to say to each other, especially Sherlock Holmes wants to say their shortcomings. So I want to read them from Sherlock Holmes. Let me see, what are my other shortcomings? I get in the dumps at times and don't open my mouth for days on end. You must not think I'm a sulky when I do that, just let me alone, and I will soon be right. What have you to confess now? I think it's a bit weird that you want to tell each other your shortcomings, but if you want to live together, it's also pretty smart that you know who you are living with.
It was also one of the few moments that Sherlock Holmes was a bit emotional or just talking about his own life. He was so focused on doing his work, we barely got to know who he really was.
Yeah, he spends a lot of time on work, so
Yes.
Yes.
You don't really know what his life beyond the detective job is.
No, he's not.
A very strong quote. Nice.
Yes.
I liked it.
Yeah, what's that? So Robin, where's your second quote about?
about Sherlock Holmes, that he already knew who the
killer was?
killer was, the murderer was, but he doesn't tell the other one.
Doesn't want to tell the other.
For the credits, right?
Yes.
Strong quote. Nice.
I had already come to the conclusion, since there were no signs of a struggle, that the blood which covered the floor had burned from the murderer's nose and excitement. I could perceive that the track of blood coincided with the track of his feet. It is seldom to any man, unless he is very full-blooded, breaks out in this way through emotion. So he already knew that, like, at
Jefferson Hope was the
Who did it? He already
Yeah.
knew it.
I don't know if that he knows that Jefferson Hope had like the heart problems with his heart, so the nose started bleeding. But he knows, Sherlock Holmes knows that the blood comes from the killer, from his excitement. So
Yes.
I think that's probably pretty clever. Like normal people as us doesn't think about it.
Yes, he's really
There
smart
are-
and
there are
he
more
thinks,
Because in a
thinks a
crowd,
lot.
we don't think from, oh yeah, that's from a person who has excitement to kill someone.
No.
It's quite extraordinary how fast
Things.
how fast he thinks, how fast he makes links, how he jumps into conclusions with just regular things.
He's just a genius.
Yeah,
Yes.
but
It's
yes,
a masterpiece.
He's so smart.
He also has a different way of thinking because he thinks backwards.
Yes,
Like-
he doesn't think like we do, the most people do. He thinks better if you want to be a detective. Now I will do my quote. It's also a bit about that he already knew it, but he didn't want to say it because he wanted the credits. My dear fellow, what does it matter to me? Supposing I unravel the whole matter, you may be sure that Gregson and Lestrade and Co. will pocket all the credit that comes of being an unofficial personage. But he begs you to help him. That goes about that. So he already knows the outcome. He knows what is coming and who did it, or he wants to know. He knows it soon, but he doesn't want to say it to the others because to Gregson and Lestrade because he wants the credit. He wants to, and I think it's maybe it's not good for the case because only he can think about it and not others. But it's pretty logical, logically that he does want to credit for what he did and not that Gregson and Lestrade will
Yeah.
take the shine.
He did almost everything like himself, and he doesn't want
So
to
can
get
we
others.
say can we say that the other two detectives are a bit shady, that they want to share the credit?
And they get it.
Yes.
They want the credit
I think so.
even though they didn't
You're
do much or they hadn't.
you're an asshole if you just
Yes.
fully take credits of something you didn't do.
But
They were part of it, but
A little part of
yeah,
it.
yeah,
they
and
do
they
much.
were necessary for the outcome.
Sherlock Holmes just
Because they
did
said
everything.
Just carried everything.
yes.
And the street kids.
Yeah, the street
And
kids.
the street
did
kids
also
were
do
also
everything
really
for
important.
The most
But-
important thing of
But the other two detectives,
Yes.
not
But
really.
you can do it all alone because you need others. But Sherlock Holmes did the most. But without Lestrade and Gregson and the street kids, it wasn't possible to. It was also not. You wouldn't find the solution also.
Yes, I also have two quotes left.
You have another quote.
Yes, my first quote is it's said by Sherlock Holmes. There's nothing new under the sun. It has all been done before, and that's a quote of
Amazing.
Sherlock, and it defines the way that he looks at the cases, and he thinks, yeah, it has been done before, so it must have some sort of algorithm, like somebody kills someone, and it has been done before, so he knows something about the way he has killed, the way the criminal has killed the victim. Yes, the victim.
So he uses the information from
From
experience.
other
cases.
experiences
Yes.
to
Find
find
solutions.
solutions to know who the killer is.
So we have a Dutch saying for this: oefening baart kunst.
I don't.
Practice
I can't.
makes
Practice makes perfect.
Practice makes
I
perfect.
don't understand you. This English.
Ah,
We only speak English.
Yes,
Practice makes
If you
Perfect.
learn the words from Unit 3.
Yes.
Practice makes
Yes, we
perfect.
learned that in Unit 3.
And I had another quote. I have to search it up. There's nothing like first-hand evidence. Who do you think the quote is?
I think Sherlock Holmes or Watson.
Correct, Sherlock Holmes.
So original.
Yes, I
Oh,
also think, wow.
Big brain.
And there is nothing like first-hand evidence. So you have to search for more evidence to know who's the
The killer
The
wrote
killer,
right
the
on
criminal.
the wall.
yes.
I did it. My address is.
Yes, but if he did that, it could also be someone else.
Yes,
Like-
and Gregson,
It's a lie.
Gregson and Lestrade, the other detectives, did that. They didn't do it right because they
They thought
took
Waffe means
Yes, they-
Rachel.
They follow their first instinct,
yes,
and
but that's not always
yes.
right.
that's not almost never right.
No, no, sometimes.
Sometimes it is right, but
But not.
on a test it is almost every time right. But
You have to think deeper on it.
yes,
Just
yes.
1 second. Yes, it's A or B. You just have to.
you have to find
make
solution.
conclusions.
You have
Argumenting.
your road
Yeah.
to the solution has to be very clear, and in sometimes in parts you have to go to the solution.
Yes, and
Argumentation,
Sherlock
right.
Holmes
Not in
is
one.
really good at it. Yes.
Just like to become a football pro, you have to make steps. You first go then.
Well, yeah, without
Yeah.
steps you can't
Yeah.
run.
Yes.
And I
Yes,
think
that's
you
an
need to
amazing
run.
quote.
You need to
Yes.
run.
Wow, you could also be in the story with that quote.
So
So,
Yes,
Good
No,
quote.
maybe. You are going to be.
Inspirational background
Yes.
music.
I think we can close this item of our assignment.
From
No, from
from
the
the quotes.
From the quotes.
So now we will move
Move on
on
to
to
the
it.
item.
and Senna will now make a joke.
how do you call a Ali who loves boys and girls?
Who do you call?
I don't know.
Who do you call an Ali who loves boys and girls?
Alibi.
So we now go on to the next
To the
element,
alibi.
and that's that alibis.
The next part are the suspects and the alibis of them. So, who wants to go first?
We have the
The-
one alibi, and
the
that's
first-
Stengerson.
The first suspect, Stengerson.
He was the first suspect of the who killed Grabber, but later on he can't be the man who
because
killed.
he
Because he
Stengerson
killed
has
also-
been
He
killed
died.
too. Yes,
And
with
Lestrade
with a
came
knife.
with the news that he died.
in
But
a hotel.
yes, but first he was also a suspect. But
because
He was in the same
Yes.
like there were two friends and they were in the same house, and then
they have been living together.
yes, so
They-
then he is a suspect,
Yes.
of course. But he couldn't have done it because he died. So we.
And he was in another place, so he couldn't do it at all.
But
Oh, yeah.
first,
Oh, yeah,
some
he-
people thought he did it, the other detective. Let's move on to the second suspect. The killer.
Killer?
The
Jefferson Hope.
Now you spoil it, who's
Oh, no,
Oh yeah, sorry. Just the killer.
oh yes, the killer.
killer. Why could he have done it?
like
What
He left some red
motives?
herrings in the murder case with the Arache.
No,
and,
the ring,
the
the
ring.
ring of
ring.
Jesse.
and it was his own blood. So if they did a DNA test, so it,
Yes, it was way back.
Maybe he haven't got DNA
yes,
test.
but not in
Maybe,
1881.
but now they would have got him.
Yes, and Jefferson Hope. They knew Jefferson Hope did it because Sherlock Holmes knew he was a cab driver, and he asked some kids to
The Arabs, the
yes,
3 kids,
to call to
to
search
him.
to find a cab driver, and he was the cab driver, so he must have killed Trevor and Stangerson.
Yes. The third suspect,
The third suspect was the old lady.
the old lady dressed up as a man,
She
the
was-
man who dressed up as the old lady.
She was suspiciously walking around the crime scene,
She
so
wanted to take the
The ring.
ring. Yeah, he wanted to take the ring.
Yeah,
Yes.
of a man who disguised as the old lady.
It was a friend of Jefferson Hope. Yes.
Jefferson.
Yeah. That's why he was suspicious,
Yes.
because he wanted the ring back. But he wasn't, he didn't commit the crime.
I think
No, he
also-
didn't. But
He was, he had something to do with it, with the
Yes.
Jefferson.
I could live in the opinions of people who think that he has done it because he was at he wanted to take the ring with Sherlock Holmes next to him, so he
Yes.
almost got arrested, but he fled, right? Yes.
Yeah.
He fled from Sherlock Holmes. So yeah, I could live in the opinions of people who thought
Yes.
he could have done it.
I think
Yeah.
he did it to lead attention away from Jefferson Hope.
Yes.
To
Yes, that's
his friends,
that's true.
Philip and
That's-
Free. And I
Yeah,
think
that's a real good one.
And
okay, jongens.
This with tragedy we have to end this assignment. We don't like it at all to end it, but
it was really fun. And yeah.
yes, I like to have a conversation about a book we've read for English.
So sadly enough, we have to say goodbye. And
Goodbye.
with this huge bombshell, we want to say goodbye. Good night.
Goodbye.
Wil je Ronaldo, Messi, Bill? Maar van coins heb je niet veel? Dan heb ik een voorstel. Ga naar FIFA.nl. Daar hebben ze wel coins. De goedkoopste in het land. Koop een paar miljoentjes. Niks meer aan de hand. Gebruik bij het bestellen Milo voor je korting. En geniet van je coins direct naar de storting.